So Pete, if you can sum up an aspect of your personality that gets infused into the wine, in ideally one word, what would that be?
God. I think for me and
God's a good one.
very spiritual, right? No, I think God. It would have to be crazy or insane, something like that. And it really started with my dad, right? He's the founder of our property.
Making your father very proud here.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll admit it. It was a crazy, ambitious idea to buy this 220-acre cattle ranch just on kind of the idea.
Because nothing was there.
Nothing
right?
was really. There were no vineyards at the time in Ballard Canyon. 1990, we were able to buy it. He'd found the property back in like 87, 88, and he tried to buy it then, couldn't work it out with the current, with the owner at the time, and came back in 1990, and we were able to purchase the land. Just had a few cows, nothing built.
And did he? Was the vision that he wanted to make wine and plant
he looked
vines
all
there?
over California for white rock, for limestone near the ocean, and he had this vision that if he could find that property, the rest would kind of take care of itself.
And that's a very natural thing to want when you're an attorney.
Yeah.
So here, how did he go from?
Yeah, so my dad, he's a trial lawyer out of Long Beach, California, where I grew up, and yeah, he just fell in love with wine really early, and kind of my parents, their group of friends, just got into food and wine, and this is like the era of like Alice Waters of Northern California, and
the romance,
right? The Napa Valley Wine Auction back when it was just sort of a casual upstart, and and my parents wanted an investment they could really enjoy and fall in love with, and my dad did a lot of research and figured out he wanted this white rock, the elusive limestone, just from figuring out what wines he really loved in California and in Europe, and that was some of the common denominator. And when we found our property, kind of just the
so
hills.
Is Stolpman Vineyard the first vineyard on Ballard Canyon?
We consider ourselves to be the original vineyard. There had been the old Ballard Canyon Winery, but that had been kind of plowed under by the time we started in 1990. And so
little did they know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, today we have the oldest vines in Ballard Canyon, and it all really started with Syrah. So we planted Syrah back in 92, and that really immediately took off. And then everybody bought the land around us, and today I believe there are 17 vineyards in Ballard Canyon and 8 different wineries.
You're the product of a legacy, so it's really neat to see how your dad's and your mom started this, and then here you are. How did you get here? Did you get here kicking and screaming?
Definitely not. No, my dad and mom did a great job of not pushing me into wine. In fact, my dad really wanted me to go do something where I could actually make a really good living and something in business, and I went back east to Georgetown for college and really enjoyed it there, but I knew that I was only going to be back east for 4 years, so I knew I'd come back to California, and went back to LA and
Didn't
got a
like
great
the
job.
frigid winters.
No. And I just love everything about California, and I came back, had a great job in LA, and it became clear to me that my dad needed someone to run the day-to-day operation of the vineyard, the winery, the tasting room, everything that we do, and the company had just grown too involved for my dad to handle as a full-time attorney, and so I said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job and jump right in. So I went down to Australia and made wine for a vintage. I went over to Italy and made wine there, and I worked for an importer and distributor here in California to really learn the market and really work on my palate. Just had a great international portfolio, and I took over the operation in 2009. I was still in my 20s and perhaps a little too young, but again, we're kind of crazy in our family.
There's the crazy,
and I can't imagine anything.
Jump into it.
Anything so fulfilling. I mean, now we have a 10-month-old baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we have a block of vineyard already named after him.
Aww.
And it's actually incredible that the timing worked out where we began propagating a block that we knew we'd name for him or for a baby in the future in 2013, and our very first crop from the August James block was 2017, his birth year. So we're only putting that wine in 3-liter bottles that he can drink throughout his life.
Very
and,
cool.
You know, the bigger the bottle,
carrying
the
on the
longer it'll
legacy.
age. And
that's what's
so,
beautiful about vineyards and winery. It's just like, you know, you get to age the family and age the business, and it's something that can just keep growing. The longer a winery is around, the more people are going to know about it and recognize it for
and the beauty
what
of
the qualities
the
are.
beauty of vineyards, if they're cared for properly, they should outlive the people who planted them.
And you do something very unique that not many, I don't know if anyone else out here is bold and crazy enough to undertake dry farming. How do you do that, and how's it going for you?
Yeah, 2 really unique things about our vineyard. We dry farm and we employ full-time. Dry farming, we figured out, is really key to the quality and style of wine we make. Even our very young vines do not get irrigation from fruit set, when you can see the little tiny grape on the vine, perhaps in April or May, all the way through September, October when we harvest.
So even if we haven't had any rains and they're...
So if we
How do
have
they
a
make it through
drought
that?
winter, you know, by January, by February, we know that, wow, we're not getting enough rain. We will simulate rainfall overnight, only on a waning, descending moon. So without...
And what is the meaning or the purpose behind that?
Right, without lunar gravity, the irrigation can actually penetrate deeper into the ground.
Interesting.
So we use the same amount of water, but we get deeper penetration. Because we don't irrigate our vines for such a long period of time, they have very, very deep roots. So if we are going to water them, we have to do it all night without lunar gravity pulling the water up.
So it's really scientific. It's not just woo-woo, like you're out there with your drums drumming and
No,
it's
I mean,
real. There's
real
reason and method.
There are a lot
behind
of
this.
things in like the biodynamic practices that seem to be a little bit odd and maybe a little bit towards
But if you
witchcraft,
break them down, they...
Well, nobody argues
They
with
make
the lunar
sense.
calendar. The vines really react to the moon, just like
absolutely.
the whole, you know,
The
ocean.
oceans, and yes.
So dry farming.
I
and then,
do.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Personally, I think we all do. We just...
Did I catch you in some moon doing right now? It's actually today as we film,
Good
we're
mood
coming
today.
into a root day, and actually we're planting vines today because we're putting the sticks into the ground. We want that energy going down to grow new roots.
Very cool.
And then, if we plant later in the year, we'll actually plant on leaf days because it'll be later in the year. We actually want the vine to grow overall.
Is there a name for this study? I mean, is that just biodynamics? Or?
I mean, we really call it biodynamic, but it goes back to the Farmer's Almanac, the lunar plant calendar.
Okay. So look it up. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it's very complicated when you actually look at it, and then to figure out how to apply it.
Right.
And it took Ruben a long time, and dealing with a lot of different biodynamic consultants. We feel like we have a really good.
And the logistics of it, you know, just getting everybody organized, you know, getting the systems down.
Yeah, everything becomes very strategic, you know, all the way, and then especially.
And that's
in
why you'd have
harvest.
to have labor that worked for you year round and.
Yeah. But with dry farming, the key is that we're not diluting our fruit, right? So we don't have a big crop. We don't have a lot of tons per acre, a lot of fruit per vine, but the grapes that we do get are very small,
Quality.
they're very tight, and we can pick a lot earlier than we would if we were diluting the fruit, getting big,
that
juicy
makes
grapes.
sense.
Because a lot of people then have to wait for dehydration
Right.
to get the concentration of flavor that they want for big red wine. We can pick earlier when the grape is still taut and firm, rather than waiting until the grape is baggy and
Interesting.
droopy and dehydrated. So you get a really fresh, vibrant fruit profile, a lot of energy in the wine, with a lot of concentration and rich textures in the mouth, because again, we're not diluting. My dad says you treat your vines like your kids. You know, you have to make them work. You have to make them fight a little bit for
Make
what
that
they want.
3-year-old work for their food. Have them go pull weeds
There you go.
before they can have breakfast. I'm kidding.
I have to remind my dad, my childhood wasn't that tough. You know, like I had a pretty good childhood. So,
Well, you must have done something right that you came back and you're part of this family business and growing it, and
yeah,
you're
and
doing a great job.
I mean, we're really proud of what we're doing, and you know, from dry farming, from withholding any kind of pesticide, by really not using much organic fungicide at all. and then two, taking care of our people, and people will,
important.
customers always ask, what is your favorite part of running your family's winery? And I said, I love, getting home from a sales trip and going out with my wife and the baby and the Bob and hiking the vineyard and saying hello to my whole crew, and just knowing that everything we're doing, really trying to push the envelope of making great wine, keeps 20 people employed full-time here local. We have a great winery team. They're busy year-round. And then we have a great team in the tasting room. And it's a great family operation. And we all are really passionate about what we're doing. And so I have a lot of pride in that.
Starts at the top.
Yeah. And then the pride of taking care of the land and, like we were talking about.
Everybody has ownership in it.
Yeah. And then giving all of that to our children one day will be really cool.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for coming out here and being part of our featured winemaker series.
Right on. Thank you.
Cheers.